Hi, today on Catherine Learns Stuff, I'm going to walk you through how to make this cool beer countdown calendar. So let's jump in. This is probably one of my favorite advent calendars that I've designed, mostly because it's for adults and it doesn't involve chocolate. So if you'd like to make this calendar as well, if you go to my website, catherinelearnstuff.com/beer advent calendar, you'll be brought to my website. On my website, I describe in full detail all the steps that you need to take, as well as some additional pointers. But not everybody likes to read, and that's totally fine. But if you scroll down on my website and you go to Advent Beer Calendar, you can actually sign up to my newsletter here, and I'll send you a copy of the file that I've created. Now, I've actually created two different files for this Advent Calendar. So when you download the file, you're going to have something called the Original Beer Advent Calendar, and then something called the Plain Holiday Beer Countdown Calendar. These are two different versions of the calendar that I've made over the years, and I'm going to walk you through how to use them both. So once you've downloaded them to your computer, you're going to need to upload them onto your Cricut Design Space. Now I'm going to walk you through using the simple one first. So I've already got this downloaded here onto my Cricut Design Space. I'm going to select the file and then I'm going to add it to my canvas. Now when this file imports, you'll notice the size is 4.5 inches on my screen. This is the size that we want. Now you'll notice also that there's only one file attached here. And that's just because there's some modifications that need to be done, and I thought it would be easier to do it once and then not have to do it 24 times on each one. So we're going to just select our lines here, and you'll notice on the side panel here that it says it's set to a basic cut. We actually want to change these from a basic cut in our operations to a score line. That way they're going to come out as score lines and not cut our piece up. And then we're going to go back over here into our panel, and we're going to attach this as one item. So this way it's going to score the lines where they belong. Now that our item is done, this is the right size to be cut out. We're just going to duplicate this 23 times so that we have 24 box tops. Now these ones are just plain, so I've got a number file that you can access as well that you can use to glue numbers on top, or you can use just a pen or whatever you'd like. Or you can alternately use the other file that I've created. So let's get rid of this one, and I'm going to show you the other file. So this is the original file that I created, which I've made some modifications. Now when you upload this into Design Space, it might tell you that the file is really big and it's going to take a long time for it to upload. Just let it think for a moment and it'll get uploaded into Design Space. So we're going to add this to our canvas. Now the size of this one is a bit wonky just because it's a big file and it doesn't always come in properly. So the first thing that we're going to do before we make any modifications is we're going to come over here and we're going to ungroup this. So now we have 1,000 little pieces. And we're going to select all of these guys and we're going to arrange them. We're going to align them and we're going to center them both vertically and horizontally, just like that. Now they're all in the same spot, and you'll notice that the dimensions are proportional to each other. So, and making sure that we're locked here, we're going to change this to 4.5 inches and give her a go. So now everything is sized correctly, but you'll notice again that we've got all these cut lines on each piece. So if we just go over to our side panel and slowly select, now today it's not cooperating, slowly select all the lines on our panel here. Just oh, what's going on? We want to go through and select all of our lines, but Cricut Design Space today is deciding to give me some hassle. So I'm going to just select these ones here. I'm going to go and I'm going to change it to score. And I have to do this for all of my lines. So I'm going to quickly hide all these guys that are not done and switch them all to score lines. So I'll pick this up in just a second once everything is set to score line. Okay, so once we've got all of our lines switched to score lines, there's one last thing that we need to do with each individual item. So we need to make sure we can go through and check that all the items are scored, and then we're going to select the top box for each section and we're going to make sure that we attach it. So this is going to make sure that when we're cutting this out, these score lines are attached where they belong. And so again, we're going to just do a quick review and attach all of them. And then we're going to do this one by one to each item so that we make sure everything cuts out properly. So I'm going to quickly do this all for the rest of them, and then we'll continue on in a second. Okay, so now that we've got all of our score lines attached and we've sized this to 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches, we're ready to send this to Make It. The one thing that I want to point out though is what I've done with this file is I've sort of color coordinated it so that you've got 3 of each color. If you don't like that, you can go through and manually change the colors to whatever you like, or you can just cut them out on any paper that you'd like. And so we're just going to select Make It, and then we're going to go off and put this onto our sheets here and cut this out. So right now it's set to 3, but you can move the boxes around onto any sheet so that you have more pages. Otherwise, you'll be using 8 sheets of different colors, or same colors if you'd like, for getting this done. So we're going to cut these out, and I'll see you at my workstation. So I've just selected out a bunch of paper that I've got to make the beer countdown calendar. Just random colors that I thought looked good together. So I'm going to quickly put these through my Cricut so they can get cut, and I will start to assemble this. One thing that we need to note when we're doing this advent calendar is that the numbers that we're using, depending on which file you decide to use, if you're using the file that has the numbers already on the boxes, you're going to end up with numbers like this 18 here. And you'll see the 1 comes out nicely, but the holes on the 8 are not attached to the box itself. So you're going to either need to keep a hold of those for later, so keep it sort of off to the side and together as a group, leave it on your mat, or you can just lose them and have the 8 not totally filled in. If you want to fill it in, what I've done in the past is I actually cut out a little square of paper and glue those onto it and then put them onto the backing here. So I'll show you an example of that as we move forwards, but that's just something to remember when you're taking these off of the mat, especially the ones with the numbers on them. For the numbers on my countdown calendar, what I've done is I've previously created numbers that you can get from my website, but I've broken them out into 2 different colors because of the color selections that I've made. The one thing that you do, there's a little bit of work that you need to do on the file if you want to use my numbers. You'll need to select each of the numbers and change them from a cut to a draw, and then you'll need to make sure that you attach the number to the actual shape. Another thing that you'll need to do is you'll need to make sure that you resize them. When you bring them into Design Space, they will be small. You'll want to make sure that the size of the number and the shape that the number is on is less than the 2.5 inches that you've got for the box size, because if it's bigger, then it's going to overlap and jump onto other boxes. So you'll just need to make sure that they're smaller than that. So I'm going to quickly pull all these off, and then we're going to start to assemble our calendars. So I've cut out all of my box tops. I'm going to demonstrate doing it 2 ways. So I've done the box tops that are totally solid, and I've also done one sample here with the numbers cut out. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work with the solid boxes. And the only thing that the assembly of these boxes is very simple. I've already put score lines on here, which I've walked you through, and how to adjust them in Design Space. And all I want to do is fold along the score lines. And so it's really simple, not too much to it, and just folding on the score lines all the way around. And now we're going to have our box like so, pre-folded. Now these tabs here is where the glue is going to be applied. And we're going to apply glue on all the tabs and then glue it closed like so. And we're going to repeat this 24 times until all of our boxes are glued. And I'm just simply using my crafting glue that I like for these kind of activities and just gluing it shut. So now that I've got all my box tops complete, we're going to add the numbers onto it. So we're going to go over how to do the numbers that have centers in them, so like the 18. So what I've done with these ones is you have 2 options really. You can just leave it the way that it is, and this will allow you to, you can tell that this is an 18, and the same idea goes with all the other numbers. And then what you'll see on the inside here is just the top of the can, so you're not going to really know what's inside there. But if you want to be particular about this and actually glue down the centers for these numbers, what I typically do is I'll put just a little piece of paper and I'll glue that down here like so, around the edges. And I'll place it in here. And now I've got a backing on my numbers. And this is where I'm supposed to keep everything organized and remember where I have my centers for my numbers, and then I have to glue them into place. And I need tweezers for this. This one goes like so. Glue that one down there. And then we do the same thing with the top piece. So this is a little bit more work than what I like to do, so that's why I designed the new ones with just the numbers. And then you have your number like that. And you can repeat that for all the numbers that have centers, or you can do what I'm doing with this one, and I'm just going to be gluing on numbers that I've got. So what I've done is, since my boxes are different colors, I've got some white numbers on stars and on ribbons that go onto the darker ones, and then I've got some turquoise green ones for the ones that go onto the lighter boxes so that they stand out. I'm quickly going to glue all of these on in no particular order so that they can all have a number, and then we can start to put this together. And now that they're all ready, it's time to get our box done. For the bottom of the box that we're going to be making for this beer advent calendar, what we're going to need is we're going to need 2 cases for the beer. Where I come from, beer doesn't come in boxes, it just comes in bases, so that's why I'm using 2. If you have a full box that you can use, that's going to save you a step, but if not, we're going to use 2 bases to make a full-size box. Now, if you're using the tall cans, so like the ones that are about 500 milliliters, you'll need 2 larger bases so that the walls are taller, and if you are using just regular cans, you can just use 2 smaller bases. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to cut the base or the floor out of one of the boxes and just leave the walls. Once we've got that cut out, we're going to use this wall section to extend the walls on the other box to make our walls taller, and that's going to allow us to cover the full beer cans. And now that our wall section is cut out, we're simply going to tape this on with our good old trusty duct tape. Okay, so now that my box is made, what I need to do is I need to wrap it so that it looks pretty. And I want to make sure that I have enough overlap around the edges to kind of cover the top part of the box so we don't see all that niceness. And we want to get all the edges. We don't need to get the bottom of the box though. So I'm just going to grab a piece of wrapping paper here and wrap this baby up so that it can be nice and pretty for our calendar. Now I've said we don't need to do the bottom, but I'm able to just sort of cut a piece big enough for what I need. So I'm going to just have the bottom covered, but you don't need to. You can save wrapping paper and use less. And it's ready to be filled with my beers. And now that we've got our case filled, we're just going to put on our numbers, and we can put them on in any order, in any location that we want. Unless you have a specific beer that you want to enjoy at a certain time, they can all go on anywhere and can be enjoyed at the day of the month when it's their time. Now when you're doing craft beers, you'll notice sometimes the sizes are slightly different. So they might be up or down, and that's okay. It doesn't make a huge difference because it's sort of a calendar to look at and enjoy. And there's the countdown calendar, finished and ready to go. And there you have it. Your beer countdown calendar is complete. I've listed links below in the description of how you can get a copy of this file, as well as a list of all the products that I used to make this project. I hope you've enjoyed this project as much as I have. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.